we are, the SS Sicamous, Penticton, one of the last surviving stern wheelers that you can see now. So this is Penticton on the beach. So this is the Sicamous, nice and preserved, Canadian Pacific. So this would have been the source of all the propulsion back in the day. Sicamous of Victoria, BC. So this is what propelled them. You can actually see the end of the pitman arm there. So the boilers would cause this pitman arm to move horizontally like that, right? The cylinder moving the crank, moving the pitman arm, and all the linkages, the reverse linkages. And then it all kind of ends up here. And then that transfers the horizontal motion to a rotative motion. And that's what causes the paddle wheel to spin. So we're gonna go up to the top levels now of the Sicamous. Take a look at the big stack, the pilot house at the top, the stack for the boiler, the smokestack, and then all the steam gets transported to the engine. It's the two compound jet condensing engines. Last time I was here, there was a model train exhibit. So what would this be? Purser's office, yeah. It's the old Purser's office. See the old cash register. Canadian Pacific Railway. Master's log. Look at the finishing in here. Look at this. The wooden newel posts. Look how beautiful these banisters are. See the trim on the roof. So this is the ship bar. The most important place on the ship is the ship bar. Pretty cool. Liquor service staff only. Yeah, looks like they still use this too. It's even got plumbing hooked up in it. And then we got the outside here, the promenade. You always got to walk the promenade in these old ships. There's quite a bit here. You can see the old gold mine would have been along the shore there, underneath where those houses are. The old Okanagan Lake gold mine, the gold, copper, and silver mine, wasn't viable for the amount of ore and the quality versus how much work it took to extract, right? Which is typical for a lot of mines. This is kind of other side. You can see the flywheel transferring that horizontal reciprocal motion into rotative motion. And then you got two pitman arms on either side. And you can see she's all riveted up. This is to catch the spray so people didn't get sprayed. And then the nice bench here. Turnbuckles kind of holding everything together. But this is the promenade. And then that's the beach, Penticton Beach. Penticton has a huge history of transportation. The Okanagan in general was known for its stern wheelers, its railways. The Okanagan had the heyday of stern wheeler travel. The Okanagan was one of the best places. Like, there's a lot of nice places in British Columbia to take a stern wheeler, but the Okanagan in particular, just the way it's set up with all the orchards and the wineries and everything, very, very, very nice. We'll go to the bow here, check out the bow. So right along there would have been the mine. You can see the water. Nice day, the CN tug over there. We'll walk out on the jetty there and go see. But yeah, right at the top, we got the British flag up top there, the Union Jack flapping in the wind. So there's two more levels. We're on the second level. We're just doing a ship tour for anybody that's joined us. We do these ship tours. So this is kind of the common area. The men's saloon, the grand staircase, sills, and cane bench. The staircase railings are original from 1914. The very best of Burmese teak and Australian mahogany is an eclectic combination of unusual richness. Due to the quality of these woods, restoration has only involved cleaning and oiling. Yeah, you can't get this wood anymore. It's impossible to get. The original windowsills and cane bench have been painted over several times and required much intensive and patient work to restore and refurbish. All prepared woodwork was cleaned and treated after 5 sandings with rubbed natural oil finish. Yeah, they're very fancy. They do not build ships like this anymore. And then this is the original men's saloon. This photograph depicts the original interior of the SS Sicamous men's saloon, of which the SS Sicamous would have shared a very similar decor. The old lights too, look at that. The old light fixtures. Oh, this is where the speaking tube would be. This is how all the communications get transferred throughout the ship. So much character, the lights, the bell, the gold painted trim, and the stained glass windows. They were holding a model railway convention in here last time when I came. But you can see absolutely gorgeous storage. And they got pictures of Penticton here All kinds of pictures of the main street. See a good dance party here nowadays. The Brookmere Hotel. Brookmere was a railway connection for the Kettle Valley Railway and the Vancouver Victorian Eastern Railroad. Gradually, the railway added a hotel, community hall, school, and store to the rail facilities. The Brookmere Hotel was built by Betterton Fraser Interests at the KVR Junction, 45 kilometers away from Merritt. Oh, that's an irrigation pipe. Wow, yeah, Okanagan. There you go. Workers posed with a large irrigation pipe. This pipe was part of the large-scale irrigation project started by BC Premier John Oliver following World War I, 1919. The goal of the project was to create more viable agricultural land in the desert landscape of the South Okanagan. This land was sold to soldiers returning from the war. Upon its completion in 1927, the irrigation system had an overall length of 40 kilometers and consisted of concrete canals, siphons, and earth ditches. The system still serves communities of the South Okanagan to this day. These are good pictures. Pictured above the Fairview Hotel, Fairview, BC, nicknamed the Big Teepee. Yeah, that's what they called it. This hotel was built in 1898 and quickly rose to popularity due to its famed good food and hospitality. It was said to be the fanciest hotel in the Okanagan, which is a big boast, guys. Sadly, its popularity ended abruptly in 1902 when the hotel caught fire one night. The Fairview was never rebuilt after the fire. In the 1970s, the site was excavated by Bill Barley. He found articles ranging from coins to keys, from silver and gold jewelry to doll sets. Yeah, Bill Barley explored Fairview extensively. The Strand Hotel, located at Okanagan Landing. This hotel is very often visible in the background of photos taken at Okanagan Landing. Construction began in 1901. The hotel lived under many different names. It's had a few different incarnations. It became the Lakeside after that. That's what Penticton used to look like back in the day. Oh, Vasu Overhang. Yeah, that road. Skaha Lake. And then another stateroom. BC steamer routes and connections. Yeah, all through Slocan Lake, Trout Lake, Kootenay Lake, Arrow Lakes, Okanagan Lake. Basically anywhere there was lakes in British Columbia, there was sternwheelers, and it all occurred together. This would be the women's area. So men were at the front, women were at the back. It's the ladies' saloon. So you can see the nice oval ceiling. And then the beautiful stained glass, the arches, the gold painting, the gold stenciling. This took a long time to do. Okay, so we're gonna go up to the next level now. So there's the pilot house and then the top level. Can we get up here? Do we gotta get up the stairs? Oh yeah, okay, here. Another stateroom. All the captains. Observation lounge. This level's a little smaller. You can see the ceilings. Stateroom. The British flag, Union Jack. This is fancy. Very fancy. These trips would take a long time. SS Okanagan and the SS Sicamous out on the lake together. Train connections at Okanagan Landing in Penticton. The Okanagan, that's how everybody got around here. Trout Creek, Canyon Bridge. Enlarging photographs. Projection printer. That's cool. Oh yeah, see Okanagan Landing here. This is Vernon. That's Okanagan Landing. Fintry, Ewing's Landing, Whiteman Landing, Cars Landing, Okanagan Center, Naramata Summerland, Peachland. Yeah, Okanagan Landing was what Vernon was called. Wharves and landings of Okanagan Lake. Ewing's Landing, Fintry, Okanagan Landing, Carl's Landing, Nahoon, Caesar's Landing, Okanagan Center, Rainbow Ranch, West Bank, Kelowna, Okanagan Mission, Trepanier, Peachland, Naramata, Penticton, Greta Ranch, and Summerland. That's how you got around. But it would basically go from Vernon all the way down to Penticton. And what we did today was drive basically from Vernon through here, across the bridge, and then down. But this would have taken quite a while to do back in the day. Okanagan Landing was the main dock for connections with trains and for maintenance and building of ships. But there were many other dockyards that ships stopped at every day to load people and unload people, goods, and supplies. The ships were the lifeline of the settlers, and they were welcomed at each dock. If landings were required in between points, 2 white flags could be put out on the bench as a signal for ships to stop for pickup, or at night 2 bonfires could be lit. Most everything being delivered up and down the lake that did not come on a horse or wagon was delivered by the ships. Many of the landings were located where small settlements had been established near farms and ranches. Look at the mirror though, and the high ceiling with the arches. This rare wood banister and staircase. And then we'll go up to the pilot house. So we've got the saloon deck, the gallery deck, and then the officers' cabins, and the Texas deck. Kettle Valley Railway, which ran along Okanagan Lake, as well as the construction of the highway, the Great Depression in the 1930s, all contributed to the SS Sicamous losing money for the CPR. We missed it all. We missed all of this. And then this is the promenade on this 3rd level. And so this would have all been taken off and renovated. There used to be a whole section going on here, but they renovated it for efficiency. It stopped transporting people because of the highway. You can see the Union Jack flapping in the wind there. Sicamous. So this is the pilot house. And top deck, there's the stack. So this is where the captain would have spent all his time. This is the speaking tube. So this is how they spoke to the engine room. So you speak into this, goes down through that column in the ship, the communications column, and then they'd be able to hear. This is how they speak to the purser's office. Fire extinguisher there, the old compass, the horn, which says it's broken, you can't pull it, and then the wheel, locked in place. Big wheel turning this thing, a lot of power, a lot of leverage needed. Make those rudders move. Oh, it's a log. Master's log, April 13th, 1926. Yeah, not a lot of them have survived. So it's hot in here though. They got a stove for the winter time. Storage area, it looks like. On the roof here, you can see the different levels. One level that has been removed. Then there's the Union Jack again, because Canada was still a British colony at the time. These are the lights they're talking about to see at night, mechanically operated lights. This is how they would see at night when they're pulling into the dock. That mirror's from the Incola Hotel. So this is the communications column I was talking about that we just looked at for the speaking tubes. Come down into the ship. And then down on this main deck again. British Columbia Lake and River Service, Okanagan Services, 1893 to 1972. KVR, right? Asanya Midway, Beaverdale, Okanagan. This is the Myra Canyon part. This is the Chute Lake, the Adra Tunnel, all the mock fruit because we're in Okanagan, so Okanagan's all about fruit. And then the bow, front of the bow here. So this would have been the capstan winch, and then the bollards, square bollards too. You don't always see bollards. These are the cleats, and the fair leads too. You can see the fair lead here. Both sides, fair lead there, fair lead there. Just changes the direction of the rope fair leads so that it can move in the right direction. And then they got anchors here, different types of anchors. Coal buggy. Yeah, the capstan is the winch powers. That's how they'd raise the anchor and do all of that. Life rings from the SS Sicamous. Dispensary, what they got here, drugs. Yeah, some of this stuff's pretty potent too. Firebox. This is a cutaway diagram. So you got the firebox, the steam tubes, and the smokestack. And then the steam tubes supply steam to the engine, right? Runs all the way through and then down into the manifold, which then distributes the steam accordingly. So this is the old boiler. Locomotive type, built by Dry Dock Co. of Port Arthur, Ontario, 1914. Specifications: 320 tubes, 2 1/4 inch, length 22 feet 6 inches, working pressure 200 psi. So you can see this is the old boiler. The stack for the smoke. So this is the firebox area. Working down here, firebox access, the observation port. And then you got your tools for stoking. Ship running lights, port starboard, green for starboard, red for port. Very important. Red right return, always remember that when you're coming back into the harbor. Red right return, which basically means the red light should be on your right side, because that's how you know you're coming back into port the right way. Red right return. So this is just a bunch of mixed cargo stuff. Old piano. Parlor stoves. Crew eating area. Let's go back to the engines here. Look at the pitman arm. Steam intake valve. Oh nice, these ones are labeled steam pipes. Steam entry port. The steam chest, low pressure cylinder, and then the cylinder moving back and forth would cause all of these things to move. The pitman arm, you can see right here. The crankshaft carrier. So this would be the crank here. That's the piston rod. And then it would go out. It's been closed up, different to the Mui, but you can see the whole assembly here. So this would be the timing rod here. Water gauge, measure the water. Crank carrier as well. The piston rod, steam port entry. Jacks, super important, manual jacks. And then what does it look like? High pressure piston. So they got high pressure and low pressure. The engines, tandem compound jet condensing port and starboard horizontal type. Cylinder diameter 16 inches 3/8 and 35 3/8 inches. Stroke is 96 inches. Center to center is 25 feet 8.5 inches. IHP 1000 to 2000. Speed 17 knots. You can see that's the inside of it there. And then the high pressure piston here on this side. So you got high pressure, low pressure, and this is the intake for everything. The steam pipes coming up out of the floor. So this is how you piloted it. You can see the different gauges, the old brass gauges. Just measuring different pressures throughout the ship and how the engine's working. Compound engines, SS Sicamous Penticton, 140 pounds working pressure. HP cylinder is 16 inches by 96 inches. Low pressure cylinder is 36 by 96 inches. Exhaust to jet condenser. Crosshead slide. Gooch reversing linkage. Swing linkage. Eccentrics. 4-foot throw paddle crank. And then coal consumption, 120 psi, 3.84 pounds. 240 psi, 3.13 pounds. Freight carried by the Sicamous often exceeded 1 million pounds, 500 tons, including livestock, chickens, cattle, horses, grain, flour, sugar, molasses, salt, rice for the Chinese communities, machinery, logging equipment, and automobiles. Fruit and other produce of farms and ranches was also transported to the railway lines for shipment abroad. So this is the back of the Sicamous. The old paddle wheeler. See the paddles? The Naramata and the CN tug. Canadian National Tug number 6. CN operated a fleet of ships on Okanagan Lake, each with a number instead of a name. Tug number 6 was launched in 1948, and it was used to move railway transfer barges between Penticton and Kelowna, and carried a small crew of up to 8 people. This tug was the last to operate on the lake. Its retirement in 1973 signaled the end of an era in the Okanagan. The SS Naramata is the only remaining steam tugboat in the interior of British Columbia. First launched in 1914, this coal-fired tugboat traveled from Penticton to Okanagan Landing, Vernon, transporting fruit from the many packing houses along Okanagan Lake. Due to her steel hull and speed, she was used in ice-breaking service, and during the winter would clear a path for other ships on the lake. The ship was retired in 1967. The Naramata was moved to this site in 1991 and purchased by the SS Sicamous Restoration Society in 1996. The restoration of this historic vessel has now begun and will continue as funding becomes available. But this is the lake. See how the mine would have been over there. Kind of similar to where the highway is now. But yeah, CN tugboat. CN and CP warring it out on the lake. CP kind of had it made though. Nice boat though. And then the Sicamous. You can see the Union Jack and the CP flag. And then the old Canadian flag before Canada changed its flag on the back, the original Canadian flag. So we've looked at the CN number 6 tug. We've looked at the Naramata tug and the Sicamous, which gives you kind of a good idea of the lake boat history in the Okanagan. If you like this kind of content, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the bell icon to get notified. I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment. And Sasquatch Prospector out.